Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to go through the opener with you. So here we go. Which element is diatomic in the reaction below? So remember, our diatomics are on the periodic table. They make a 7 in shape. So it's H2, and then it goes to N2, O2, F2, I2. I'm forgetting some. Which one am I forgetting? NOF, Cl, and Br. So Cl2 and Br2. So those are our 7 diatomic elements. They're just in your notes. So you look at this equation and see which one has one of those elements alone. Oxygen gas is alone, so it's just oxygen by itself. Every time oxygen is by itself, it has to be written as a pair, which is what diatomic means. It's oxygen. Oxygen is the diatomic element. Let's scroll down. My board doesn't let me scroll anymore. I have to come do it on my computer. All right. So same thing. It says, which of the following elements are not considered diatomic? So I just listed those 7. Phosphorus isn't one of them. Oh, wait. That's what it asked for. Not. So that's the only answer. I was like, well, all these are the same. So yes, all of those are diatomic. So when fluorine is by itself, it's F2, nitrogen is N2, and hydrogen doesn't look like an H, and hydrogen is H2. So all those are diatomic. So the only one that's not is phosphorus. Phosphorus can be found in nature by itself. Scroll down. Never have people coming in. Okay, now this one says, pick the skeleton equation of the following word chemical reaction. So we're just going to write out literally with the words to write in their chemical formula. So aluminum symbol is Al. Every time an element is by itself, you have to remember, is it diatomic or not? So 7 diatomics we just talked about. Aluminum is not one of them, so it doesn't need a 2. You just write it by itself. Now, then the next one is hydrochloric acid. Y'all don't know how to name acids yet, so I gave it to you. Hydrochloric acids is HCl. So you just write it down. Draw my arrow, and now we're at a compound. Remember, every time you do a compound, you have to write their charges, be found in the periodic table, and then crisscross them to get their subscripts. So aluminum on the periodic table is a +3. It's in the 13th column. Chlorine is in the 17th, and then it has a -1 charge. So those do not balance 1 to 1. +3 minus 1 is not 0. So I do have to cross that 3 down, and the 1 will come down, but you don't have to write the 1. So aluminum chloride ends up being AlCl3. And then lastly, we have hydrogen. Hydrogen is by itself. So every time I write an element by itself, I have to remember, is it diatomic? Hydrogen is one of my diatomic 7, so it needs a little 2. So now I just see which one says that. So Al, HCl, ACl3, H2. So it happens to be the first one. Okay. Scrolling down. And the last question says, write the skeleton equation for the following reaction. So same kind of thing we were just doing, but this has more words, okay? So you have to actually read the sentence and understand what it says. So it says solid copper, just ignore me, Josh. So solid copper metal reacts. So I have copper by itself. So I'm going to write Cu by itself. Solid copper is when I write things by itself, I have to ask myself, is it diatomic? Copper is not diatomic, so it doesn't need a 2, so I'm done. It says it reacts. Well, reacts means I'm going to put that plus sign. It's going to be combined with another either compound or element to make a chemical reaction. So it reacts with aqueous, so that just means it's dissolved in water. Nitric acid. Y'all don't know how to name acids, so I went ahead and told you what that acid is, which is HNO3. All right, next it says producing. Okay, so we know our reactants are on this side and your products are on the other side. So if it's saying I'm already producing, then I'm on the other side of the equation now. I need to draw my arrow, saying it's going to produce these 2 or 3 things or however many things. Erase my lines so you can see them again. So it's going to produce. You can come in. I'm just
no. I was just making sure you knew you were covered.
I'm about to leave. I just need to make this video.
Perfect. Almost done. Are you making the video and I just interrupted?
Yes, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
They're cool with it.
Sorry.
No, they can hear you. So producing aqueous copper 2 nitrate. So I have copper 2 nitrate is a compound. I gotta write their charges and crisscross them. So copper has a +2. Nitrate, that's a polyatomic ion. It's on your polyatomic ion sheet, or you could Google it. Google is a fantastic thing. So nitrate is NO3, and it has a -1 charge. Copper is Cu, and it has that +2, it tells me in the Roman numerals. So the 2 is gonna come down to the nitrate. Remember, that makes it look like I have 32 oxygens. I don't have 32 oxygens. I wanna have 2 nitrates, so I have to put it in parentheses. So now I'm gonna move that down where it's supposed to go. So it's producing copper nitrate, and I'll put that little 2 outside of it. And lastly, it says gaseous nitrogen dioxide. So that's a molecular compound. It has that prefix di meaning 2. Nitrogen doesn't have a prefix, so it's just 1. So it's going to be combined with NO2. Remember, di means 2, so there's 2 oxygens. And liquid water. Hopefully you know what water is. Water is H2O. And there we go. All right. So that is our chemical equation that we're working with. And now we need to pick the one that says that. Looking, CuH3, CuNO3, NO2. It's that one. There we go. Done. Talked that really fast, but you should have the answers now.